Yeah.
Namaskar, this is Professor Aman Agarwal. I'm from Indian Institute of Finance, and we are holding the series of webinars on essence of life and growth. In the last 2 months, we have held almost over 50 webinars free of cost for people at large. And this particular sequence, we have 31st guest with us today, Mr. Gopal Krishnan Agarwal. He's a chartered accountant. But before I brief you, I would like to brief you and then we'll begin. But I would like to give some basic disclaimers. Uh, the webinars are being conducted in tune with the guidelines given by Ministry of Home Affairs for conducting Zoom meetings, and we are running them on secure platform and adhering to most all norms advised under those guidelines. This is also to disclaim that the views expressed here in any of these meetings are not to be taken as views of the government or of the institutions, any one of the speakers or the Indian Institute of Finance, which are reflected here. The prime objective, as outlined, is to bring out positivity, talk of positive aspects of how life and growth is seen, how has it grown, based on personal experiences of people who have had 2 to 3 decades of work experience, having seen the ups and downs in life, having seen growths and bounces and falls in economies, domestically and internationally. So their perceptions are being reflected here. And as we have said, it is mostly to keep it more positive. We are not here debating any political issue. We are not here debating any economic issue, but the prime perception of essence of life and growth from people's perceptions. Certainly, there are biases which come from people's work spheres, and as we have had over 30 speakers speak about their profession, about their lifestyle, and how they have grown, and based on their work, from lawyers, from entertainment industry, from actors, from Miss Worlds, and from Hollywood, from US, from Japan, from different countries, from Turkey, Rex, admissions, and others. Today we have with us another young and dynamic expert, a old friend of mine. I've known him, discussed with him, interacted with him at various platforms, television, personally, and otherwise, for the last 20 years. And Gopal has been initially been a chartered accountant, but I will request Gopal to highlight upon his own life and experiences in a minute before I pass on the spotlight to him. Gopal has been a chartered accountant. He is an economic thinker. He has been on various think tanks, both government and private and chambers. And he's also an author for a large number of books. He is also running large number of social services outlets for dairy milk and various other products I've been hearing from him. He is officially the BJP's national spokesperson and heading the economic think tank for the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is the largest national party in the country. He is also the appointed and nominated director of the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, which is a Government of India body, and also director of the Indian Institute of Company Secretaries of India, which is also a statutory body to train and educate company secretaries in this country. He is also the trustee and treasurer for the India Policy Foundation, which is doing a large amount of social activities work apart from policy prescriptions, and of which many of them have been adopted and accepted by governments during this tenure and even before, when this government was not in power, by other governments as well. So it has been independently working extensively. He is advisor to various ministries, including various bodies of Ministries of Finance, Ministry of Water Resources, on Nimani Ganga, and also been a board of various companies and banks like Bank of Baroda, NEPCO, and others. Uh, I bring you before you a man who is very humble, very quiet. He hardly speaks much about himself. I have never, heard him speak even in a loud voice like most of the politicians. I end up meeting at various news channels, whether Times of India, Mirror Now, or any other channel, or Rajya Sabha TV or Lok Sabha TV. Most politicians tend to get very aggressive. I have seen that calmness in him, that quietness in him, and he likes to put across points logically with framework and with systems. One may agree, one may not agree. That's a different matter of point. But the perceptions, the perceptive, it is very important to learn to other people's view, respect others' view, and then put forward your own view. And I think amongst most of them I know, I found him to be the most serene person, a person who is able to project his point logically and structurally and put forward before the people at large. Today, I don't bring him as a BJP national spokesperson, so I'm not looking at any perspective. I've requested him to highlight on the essence of growth in life, although the country and the government, and as I don't know if Gopalji has been following, but most of our speakers from different parts of the world, including US, Japan, even from UK and other places who have come, have said that the perception of India and the way the leadership is going in the country has completely changed the outlook in the international sphere. There's a lot of respect and a lot of love which has come forth for India, specifically in the last few 6-7 years in particular. And I think that certainly goes as a credit to your party and your leader. But certainly, as I said, we are not discussing politics today. Before being before you, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, noted chartered accountant and an economist. I will now move to him, and I will then request him to, answer some of the questions which I have on life and growth. You are now in spotlight, Gopal. But before I begin with my interview, I would really appreciate, if you can tell for the larger audience, people at large, people from, I see people from US, UAE who have already joined and others who joined, who have come in, would like to, can learn from your life experiences. How have you grown, from a teen boy, from a small boy who had studied in school, then college, and going forth, studied, worked, and now in the current position you are. If you can give a small, introduction to that, and then we will begin the interview on life in essence. Please, Gopal, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Aman Agarwal and Indian Institute of Finance for giving me this opportunity to interact with you and express some of my views on life and growth and other subjects that Professor Aman Agarwal just now mentioned. How I grew up to this position, what are my goals, what are my thoughts, and briefly I'll tell you in this half an hour interaction. But initially, to give the background of how I grew up, is that I was a student of Bharati Vidya Bhavan, Delhi, from where I passed out my 12th class. And Bharati Vidya Bhavan, as you all know, is very much imbibed by the Indian culture, and the whole institution has a large presence across the globe. And it was founded by Ken Munshi, but they emphasize on lot of Indian thoughts and cultures, and that was a good institution. And we had a very close association at that time with the Swami Chinmayanandji. He used to come regularly to our school every year, and our principal MP Chaya used to take many of the initiatives. From my school early age, then my father was very closely associated with RSS, and he was working on many of RSS affiliated organizations in the social field. And therefore, I came into contact of several leaders in RSS, those who were great thinkers and great social workers. And I just would like to mention that RSS senior leaders have been very shy of public domain anything. Many people don't know the amount of contribution or thought process they have done. And then when I was in my 8th class at a young age of 13 years in 1975, the emergency was declared by Indira Gandhi. And we thought that it is not, the dictatorship is not what our country can progress, and we valued these democratic values. And therefore, against that emergency, that's a very big turning point, first turning point in my life. I was in 8th class in 1975, and we did a big satyagraha against that dictatorship emergency rule by imposed on in India. And in that satyagraha, I was arrested, and I was in jail for 3 months in a children's jail remand home. I was in 8th class, and I was in that jail, and that 3 months in confinement in a jail instead of gave me a lot of thoughts to ponder upon on how society should function, how democracy should function, what are the roles individual should play into the nation. And in after that 3 months in jail, I came out. We are were three in family. I am the only son. I don't have brother or sister, but my father was a professor in Lady Hardinge Medical College. He also was arrested and he was in jail for 6 months. And my mother was also arrested. She was there in 2 months. So my father was suspended. I was terminated from the school, but everything once the emergency period, period ended, I got back into the school. My father was restored back in the job. After that, I got involved in many social activities. When I completed my 12th, I joined Hansraj College for graduation into commerce. I, at point of time, had planned to do medicine because my father was a doctor, but because of disruption, I did not get into the medical college. And then I thought I'll do chartered accountancy, and I think that was another important thing where I came in contact with the economic activity, business activity, and I found them to be very interesting. And in the college time, I decided to do my chartered accountancy, completed my BCom honors from Hansraj College. And during that time, I started this. I had got a lot of love, and I got enjoyed in, this traveling and mountaineering, trekking. And during my college days, I did lot of trekking in the Himalayas. I went to Ladakh. Most of the treks in India in Himalayas, I trekked them on foot with my college friends and other. We set up an adventure club, Alpine Adventure Club, and we did lot of treks, even traveling for 1 month with our all the food material, tent, etc. at our back. Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, all these, even Darjeeling, Sikkim side, this kind of adventure activities, I got very closely involved in my college time. And at the same time, when I was traveling to Rishikesh, Uttarakhand, Gangotri, Kedarnath, then Gomukh, all Harki Dun, Pindari, most of the treks in India I have done over the period on foot. In that time, I came into contact with many of the spiritual heads in Rishikesh and Haridwar. I got interested in this Hindu philosophy, Vedanta, and my father was also very closely associated with many of the sannyasis, etc. So many of the sannyasis like Ram Sukdas ji, Hariyarthi ji, great saints were in regular contact with our family. We used to go to them. At that time, I also got a great opportunity to listen to them and deeply listen to various philosophers at that time. J. Krishnamurti, I used to regularly listen. Sadhu Vaswani, then Swami Ram Sukdaji, I listened at Haridwar, Rishikesh, even this Hanuman Prasad Poddar, Gita Press Saints, etc. And I also studied Sanskrit deeply in Harihar Kailash Ashram in Rishikesh. That exposed me to various Vedantic textbooks of India, like Gita, then all the Upanishads, I extensively read them. And I got exposed to the whole Indian philosophy and the thought process. It highly impressed me. I came into contact with Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and after my graduation, there was an international conference, Hindu conference in New York. There, as a young person, Vishwa Hindu Parishad invited me, and I went to New York to attend that World Hindu Conference for 2 days. After that, I extensively traveled to Europe and America, and I came in also in contact with ISKCON. That changed the life perspective for me. And after my graduation, I was there for 3 4 months in the Europe and America. I extensively traveled to many countries in Europe and America through my association with ISKCON movement. I used to go to them, stay with them, travel with them, and try to understand that life culture and Western culture, particularly American way of life. That was also exposed me to many things. Then I came back, I completed my chartered accountancy in Delhi, and I got connected with the stock market. I thought that my conclusion was that after I completed my chartered accountancy, I came into contact with राम सुखदास जी एंड उनसे मैंने एक बार पूछा कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए, तो उन्होंने कहा कि जो जीवन में जो पैसे का भी बहुत महत्व है, लेकिन इसमें भाग्य से ज़्यादा मिलता है, बट मनुष्य को जो स्पिरिचुअल जो साधना वगैरह है वह अपने पुरुषार्थ से प्राप्त करनी पड़ती है। तो कई बार हम गलती करते हैं कि जो मटेरियल प्रॉस्पेरिटी है उसके लिए तो हम बहुत पुरुषार्थ करने का प्रयास करते हैं, लेकिन जो स्पिरिचुअल साधना है, जो आध्यात्मिक रास्ता है, उस पे हम कहते हैं कि ये तो ईश्वर पे छोड़ देते, तो इनका जीवन में बैलेंस करके चलना चाहिए। तो मुझे लगा कि उन्होंने कहा कि अभी तुम्हारा समय है कि तुम्हें पैसा कमा के एक रीजनेबल इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस बना के एक घर को चलाने के लिए एक आर्थिक मजबूती जरूर आवश्यक है। तो उस सब चीज़ों को समझ के मैंने अपना प्रोफेशन शुरू किया और मैं फाइनेंशियल लाइन से जुड़ गया, जिसमें मैंने नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज की मेंबरशिप भी ली और काफ़ी एक्सपैंड किया बिजनेस। और in the we became member of most of the stock exchange. We had set up a big branch. At point of time, I had more than 200 franchises and branches all over India on the financial market in the name of company Vogue Commercial Company Limited. We expanded a lot into all the financial market products, mutual fund, insurance, all these marketing network. Also, we did all these things, and that I could establish good living, which gave me sufficient financial independence to pursue my hobbies at one end, pursue my interest at another level, and at the same time financially gave me financial strength to sustain life. That's, I think, is a very important thing, that we should, if we want to achieve anything in life, we should be financially independent and financially self-dependent, sufficient. That is also an important aspect. You can then only pursue your goals, objectives. And over the time also, I started various social projects like Gaushala, Shriji Gausadan in Noida, where it is more than 1100 cows for 20 years. We are running that, and we have taken them from the streets, and no cows we have purchased, but we are running in 94 sector. That project is a very good project that is running around. We are doing without any government assistance through the our contacts and the societies, etc. Then we started various projects like Jaladhikar Foundation, where we are working on the water issues. I'm the president of that Jaladhikar Foundation and of founder president of Shriji Gausadan. And then we also started milk cooperative movement. And ultimately in Jana Krishnamurthy's time, when he was the president of BJP, I started writing, yeah, yeah, in the various markets, newspapers, etc. So there I got into connected with political activities, and then I came into contact with the BJP, where I thought that the politics has to be byproducts of your social activity. So my social activities would take me further in the political life. And I found that if you want to express yourself, if you want your say to win the government policies, you need certain sharing of the power. And for that, I thought BJP is the right way. And ideological commitment or ideological thinking also aligned with a strong nation, strong country. Those things supported me, and because of my background, I got active into BJP, and then I was heading the professional cell. Then I got into economic cell. I then later on I became their executive member, national executive member, and head of the economic think tank. And now I am the economic spokesperson. But over this period, I have focused on my social activities. They are very important to give strength to me. They are also very important to give direction to the life and give commitment and certain fulfillment in the life, and also gives me space and connectivity to the common man in the country, which also is a part of strong political strength. Your connect to the ground, connect to the problems, connect to the common man, only can make you a strong politicians. And my interest in economics, etc., has been continuously growing. I have various bodies, also association, where I interact, talk to them, and most of the this economic chief economists, etc., various corporate sectors, I have been interacting with them, think tanks, etc. And party has given me many platforms to sharpen my skills and work on them. So this is the brief history that I have. I joined on the board of various PSUs also, that as has been mentioned by Aman Agrawal ji, various committees, MSME committees, etc., of the Ministry of Finance, where I worked extensively, giving suggestions, writing for newspapers, various products. But my core issues have been this animal welfare, the water issues, economic well-being of the nation, economic thought. And I believe in market economy. I believe in right to center economy, because I believe in growth and economy. This wealth generation can alone help into distributions. Simply distributions cannot help any country. You have to create wealth, then only you develop good mechanism of wealth distribution, a transparent, leakage proof instruments of social welfare, then only distribution can help and inclusive growth can generate. So with this initial remark, I would like to thank Amanji, and he can continue with other questions that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gopal, for that brief introduction of your life and the way different aspects, different frameworks have influenced you over the lifespan. It's interesting the way you have grown. It's important because people need to understand how important it is to understand the nuances and the basics of any economy or country, especially keeping the spiritual and the social consciousness alive, because many people tend to diverge from these two basic aspects, which are the essence, in my opinion, as well. You have beautifully outlined, and my question first goes as, what are the key factors, in your opinion, that are important when you identify or outline the essence of life and the essence of growth in one's life?
I would like to mention that everybody has his own experience in life that gives him the content on how to decide what is his goal of life. But the important thing is 2-3 points that I think is for life and its growth is that you have to live to at the moment. Current moment is very important. Take the benefit and enjoy the moment in life. If you start living to the current moment and use it to the utmost of your capacity, then only you can progress in the future. So living every moment in life is important, and the life should not be stagnant. The once you have any stagnation, that completely degenerates your life. So no stagnation, do something, keep yourself active in thought, action, connect everything, and expand the definition of life. Slowly you expand, you set new goals, expand them, get for bigger goals and work for them, and decide a goal depending upon your choice, etc. A goal is must in life, and that once you decide what you want to achieve, then the will power, जिसको संकल्प शक्ति कहते हैं जीवन में, वह बहुत जरूरी है. या कई बार वी लैक कि हम कुछ डिसाइड भी करते हैं फिर वेवर कर जाते हैं. तो मैं देखा जो करना है शॉर्टर गोल्स को उसको ब्रेक करके उसको अचीव करने के लिए विल पावर, संकल्प शक्ति में बहुत कैपेसिटी जनरेशन का पावर होता है. अगर आपने कुछ संकल्प कर लिया तो फेलियर्स भी आपको स्ट्रेंथ देते हैं. तो संकल्प की बहुत जरूरी है, और रोड मैप फिर बनाना है. अपने गोल डिसाइड कर लिया, उसको अचीव करने का टारगेट कर लिया, तो उसके लिए उसका रास्ता भी तय करना है, और उस रास्ते पे चलने के लिए हमें जो जो गुणों का अर्जन करना है उसके लिए कंटिन्यूअस प्रयास करना है. और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि हम एक सोशल इकोसिस्टम में रह रहे हैं, तो हमारे अपने गोल्स जो इंडिविजुअल की अचीवमेंट के गोल्स तो बहुत जरूरी है, बट अलाइन दोज गोल्स विद द फैमिली गोल्स, with the goals of the society, with the goals of the country, and goals with the world, environment, animals, ecosystem. अगर आप उसको अलाइन करके चलेंगे तो ये सोसाइटी का जो इकोसिस्टम है आपको अपने गोल्स को अचीव करने के लिए बहुत बड़ा स्ट्रेंथ और सपोर्ट सिस्टम बन जाएगा, नहीं तो आप कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में आ जाएंगे। तो गोल्स इस तरह अलाइन करने चाहिए कि उनके साथ, इन सिस्टम्स के साथ अलाइन कर जाते हैं। तो यही अल्टीमेटली लाइफ का एसेंस है कि आप live to the moment, no stagnation, expand the definition of your life, decide a goal, have strong willpower, work for getting those strength for achieving on working on that, and align those goals to the environment, ecosystem, society, etc. You will be satisfied and achieve good thing in life and have a growth also.
Sure. No, I fully endorse your view. You know, Gopal, large number of countries for almost now two decades or so have been talking about inducing happiness as part of GDP. And many have actually also talked about the creation of happiness index. Bhutan has done it. Sarkozy from France gave this assignment to Amartya Sen to create a happiness index. There are ministers of loneliness and happiness which have been created in UK and Finland. So there is a lot of constant focus by various governments around the globe. And you know that we live in uncertain times. It's not so easy to go about calibrating this. But in your opinion, you know, how does one go about celebrating life in such dynamic and volatile circumstances, which every one of us is perfect with?
I think happiness is very important in everybody's life, because ultimately, as per our philosophy also, Sat Chit Anand, three goals are said. Sat means pursue truthfulness, Chit pursue knowledge, and the third important basic goal of life is Anand, means happiness. So everybody is ultimately searching for happiness, but you have to define certain things, align your happiness. What gives you happiness is very important. This happiness has to be defined through your knowledge, experience, and your content which you have read through your interaction with great people, their biographies or various books, philosophy, darshan, etc. That will help you in defining what is happiness. The basic thing is simply having comfort, etc., may not give you happiness in the long run. So how do you define your happiness? Some people may find happiness, even when I went into various tough tracks, etc., the life became very tough, but I was happy. We did not have food many times, walking for 8 or 9 hours a day, taking 20 kg at the back. We were going through very difficult time, but we did not lose happiness at all. So physical comfort alone, our basic comfort is needed for everybody. That has to be provided by the society or the family initially. We also have to give back to what we take from the society and the families. Ultimately, when we grow up, we have to take care of our parents, children, etc., and the society also. But you have to define happiness individually. What is happiness? That definition will create lot of good happiness in the ultimately life. But happiness is surely a goal which has to be achieved individually, which have to be pursued at the national level. Basic amenities of this food, shelter, this education, healthcare, all these are in the current civilized society are the responsibility of the government, because government is taking taxes from us. Government has asked several commitments from the society people, and they also ask certain laws, restrictions also in our life, individual pursuit also. That gives opportunity also, but this has to be a system through which these basic amenities are provided to the individual. That only will bring strength to the societies. And I think these are important. So therefore, when the United Nations talks about sustainable development goals, it incorporates all these health, sanitation, water, etc. All these goals define mechanism through which individual or a family can become happy. So putting certain parameters of happiness into various analysis in individual life and in the society, in the country also, can measure how we achieve happiness. But happiness has to be defined in an individual pursuit of what his goal is and how what he want to achieve in life. That may define, it may not be linked only to a physical comfort, etc.
No, I agree with you that every one of us has to outline what real happiness means for us and then live with that goal, make it enhance. You know, you mentioned about spirituality, and it's very important, in my opinion. If you could outline what you understand from spirituality, because you've gone through a long process of understanding and imbibing it into your own life. But before, and also talk about the fact, how does it help walk the talk and recalibrate right kind of responses to different situations?
I think the COVID current situation of COVID has given a lot of time to everybody, and it is also a time for more introspection. We have become, we have got more time. We have time to introspect. Even our close relationship have become very stronger, much more stronger than earlier. We were all running around with so much busyness or involvement into various outward. We had become a lot of outward, uh, always searching for certain stimulus from the outside, whether through cinema, whether through games, or through interaction, play, meeting friends, and going for parties. I think those continuous stimulus at various levels did not leave any time for us to introspect what is really human being is made for. So that introspection time has been given by this corona. Second thing is, we have become, because of this lockdown, etc., we have got a lot of time to be associated with our family, close friends, very close family. So that closeness of close relations has also an important aspect that has come to our current situation. Importance of health is also now coming across, because after this corona crisis, we see that health is very important for everybody, because unless we have a healthy and disciplined life, we will not enjoy the life, etc. We need health is the basic parameter through which we can achieve different material prosperity, etc. So importance of health has also come to the life. Environment, our connect with the environment, we have seen how we were suffering because of environment degradation. Now we see many pictures are being shared that birds are chirping in your areas, the animals, etc., are moving around. We are doing so much of activity in Noida at this particular time, giving food to the needy, feeding the animals, the cows, etc., on the various teams, etc. And we have seen the agony of the common man, the poor people. So that संवेदनशीलता जिसको कहते हैं, तो संवेदनशीलता एक महत्वपूर्ण, समाज के जो विभिन्न वर्ग हैं, जिन लोगों को विच वी मे नॉट कॉल देम वेरी मच, जो उन्हें भाग्य के अनुसार बहुत चीजें, they have not got that material prosperity, etc. They need certain compassion on our part. So ultimately, spiritualism or thought process in this line, or darshan जिसको कहते हैं, philosophy, will come from compassion, feeling for the others, their agony, their problems, that working for their solutions, finding solutions for those, and that kind of thing will also bring the human aspect of life, and ultimately aligning ourselves with all human beings, their well-being, their prosperity, their mental well-being, etc. And helping the people with whom we are directly connected is important for your spiritual progress, because simply reading books and just learning the philosophy text is not going to help. You have to, because Gita has very categorically said that the action is very important. Unless जिसको साधना कहते हैं हमारे यहाँ पे words, some certain words in Sanskrit are very important. They say कि you have to practice what you teach and implement it in your life. If you Gita says that the whole world is one, and you have to find identify with the whole world. It talks about even animals, plants, etc., universe, environment, everywhere. So that expansion is not in words, it has to come into action. Your action should show that you think every brother as your own. You work for their compassion. But at the same time, I also want to put a check on this, is that there is selfishness in the society also. There are bad elements also in the society. Doing good for everybody, doing good for all, doesn't mean that you do what they say. They may exploit you. You have to have this Vivek Shakti, Vivek jisko kehte hain, what is good and what is bad. That will come from your life experience, which are good people, which are bad people. It is not that everybody is good in the world. There may be exploitation in the world, so you have to be firm on your commitment, your decisions, what you think is good for everything, and on that bring them into your actions, and don't get certain times exploited by the people. Do good for the society, but there has to be a check and balance on that also. This I think is an important aspect, and whatever you do, it has to be self self sustainable, and it has to be at a continuous process. Don't start this, leave it, then start that, then leave it. That will completely create certain problems in your willpower. Whatever you decide, try to complete it to the and take it to the logical end, and try to complete it. Then you can start another project or another activity.
So, Gopal, you have been a chartered accountant, beginning with your studies and then having done chartered accountancy, then in stocks. So, balance sheet is a very important component for you in terms of whatever you look at, and you want a balanced approach which is there. Given that balance sheet structure, how does one go about balancing one's life when it comes to investing in oneself to induce growth and happiness?
Uh, the thing is that unless you have the capacity, you cannot do. And if you don't have certain qualities, if you don't achieve, whether it is education, whether it is good health, whether it is your skills, whether it is your compassion, whether it is the thought process, mental makeup, philosophical content in your life, unless you have those personal capacities, you are not that useful for the society. So important thing is that you keep that goal in mind, but generate good qualities and analyze them. Like in a company now, there are certain issues which are coming in the balance sheet, that even this human aspects are also being incorporated into the balance sheet. Human capital, what the companies have. Similarly, there are initiatives like CSR initiatives are being incorporated into the balance sheet. Even there are movement. I am associated with many of the chartered accountant company institutes, projects, etc. We are working on various issues where how you internalize the environmental cost into the balance sheet. That's also important. We are not at all putting up in our balance sheet what are the environmental costs, what is the social impact assessment, outcome budgets are failing. So if we into financial system or balance sheet, etc., we include these things, internalizing environmental cost, assessing in social impact cost into the your balance sheets, into your financial statement, or your annual reports, etc. How you contribute to the society. Those I liked one slogan in Tata companies that we also make steel. That was giving a very good message to the society that we do lot of good work. I've been to Jamshednagar, Jamshedpur, how they have done. So uh, taking care of people whom you are in contact with and do whatever your capacity is. Everybody has a limitation and limited capacity.
True.
So within those, but at least analyze them, what you are contributing to the society, what you are contributing to the family, and as a business also analyze how your employees are, whether are you taking care of certain of their problems that they feel, are you talking to them about their personal issues, uh, are you working as a family atmosphere. These are an important criteria where you can create a good ecosystem of businesses and with those whom you are connect. But also in the financial statement also movement has coming where you can work on these parameters and incorporate it into your annual statement. Even now the government is working on social entrepreneurship, developing means and mechanism through which social objective can be integrated in. I am working on that project. Social objective can be integrated into the commercial setup. And once a person puts his effort as labor and capital into any enterprise, even if that has a social objective, how he can have a reasonable return on his labor and capital and make it sustainable, make it expandable to various places and do good for the society. So integrating social objective into your enterprise also called as a social enterprise that can be developed. New, I see young people with good objective intent to come into this field.
No, I'm very happy you outlined that. And this reminds me of recent research which is done, although I don't want to bring in COVID, but then it reminds me of a recent research which IIT Madras has done in terms of talking about with Japan, with for ashwagandha and others. And in fact, the way yoga and Ayurveda, for which are sciences which have been there for centuries now, have started picking up with their importance, specifically with the fact that we are saying now life is there going to be with COVID. It's not a question of post-COVID anymore. It's with COVID now. And it was a very welcoming news which I read yesterday when Dr. Harshvardhan has been made the chairman and the executive board member of the WHO, representing India and the world now and addressing those concerns. I think the importance of the way we look at things, the way it is being perceived and contended in India has gone up. Given those recent developments, the fact that we talk about prevention is better than cure, and we have these mechanisms, and they are some of the only ones which are actually working up. When I talk to people in the US, they tell me that they are adopting to some of these basic techniques, which will help people not get COVID or come out of COVID as well. As a matter of fact, where there is no question of medication per se. How do you see life grow and shape up in the next 6 months to a year?
I think, as I said slightly in the initial period, that health will become important or this introspection will come out. The Prime Minister said that be local and vocal. On that, I would just like to clarify one or two things that this importance of local supply chain has become very important in this lockdown period. We were depending upon local this kirana store for our essential supplies, etc. It's important has come in our life. So, and depending upon sustainable, self-sustainable lifestyle also has come to a light. Even we have also come to know that many things, many activities that we were doing were redundant. They were not needed, and we were just putting up lot of time and which was not a gainful employment of our time. So that introspection will help us in next, it will increase more. And health is surely, I tell you that most of the people must have started yoga, but do give time and people will give more time to their health, because COVID or endemic like this are going to continuously come in the life. You have to sustain your life within this risk involved into this ecosystem of virus, new virus, new problems we see, even diabetes. All these are called lifestyle diseases, heart diseases, are all are also increasing. Now this is a complete fatality that has come into the whole lifestyle. So I think we keep a good health, because without health nobody can enjoy any amount of material prosperity. Just a it's just a rubbish for anybody who doesn't have good health. So health, importance of health has to be completely put into our lifestyle. Environmental care has to, we are at point of time are only thinking that the government is responsible. One thing I find in my experience in India is that as a civic society, we start shouting on everything to the government. सरकार ने हमें ये नहीं किया, सरकार ने हमारे लिए ये नहीं दिया, सरकार हमें खाना दे. So I think we, along with we have certain responsibility also, like the thing that environment etc. Any amount of cleaning of the river or groundwater will not help unless we stop uh, uh, throwing all kind of rubbish, sewage, or this garbage into these river systems. They have the self-rejuvenating system. Water is abundantly available in the whole ecosystem. Nature has provided this basic elements of life abundantly. And the more important the life element is, the abundancy is higher. You cannot live without air for few seconds or minutes. So it is abundantly and freely available. But water is the second important. Almost 70% of the earth is made of water component. 90% of the human body or animal body or organic body is made up of water. It is recyclable, but the cost of purification, distribution, etc. are there. But they have, certain things have to come through the mass movement, like cleanliness drive, cleaning, keeping the environmental clean, cleaning the groundwater and other water pure, not polluting it more than what you want to use. All these things have to become part of our life, and mass movement and individual responsibility. That's very important. And even when we ask certain things from the government, we should keep in mind the resources with the government are taxpayers' money. Western concept, they are very much conscious on taxpayers' money. But India, we don't think whatever the government is giving, actually it belongs to all of us. We have contributed to that through direct, indirect tax. Everybody is paying indirect tax. Sometimes we say many less number of people are paying tax. It is only the direct tax which is less number of people paying, but indirect tax everybody is paying. So when we are talking about doles and ask government to do this, ultimately keep this mind that it is the taxpayers' money alone. So it should not be put into the wasteful expenditures or simply doles which cannot generate economic activity, which cannot empower them, empower all of us. Just simply a line of entitlement will not help. So it's a both way. I say the government is responsible for many of the creating an ecosystem of level playing field, creating an ecosystem for entrepreneurship, creating an environment for skill development, self-employment, healthy competition, then equal opportunities to all segments through education, health, sanitation. These are the responsibility of the state. But individually, we have to support and have faith in the leadership. At many times, once in a democrat, we have a best system of political management in the world available. I think at present moment, in large population like India, we have a vibrant democracy. We have certain good institution, transparent judiciary, various institutions over the years since independence has been built by various leaders of the country. Those institutions have delivered, election commission, all these institutions have delivered good things, but there are certain problems also. But once in a democratic process, we have elected a government for 5 years, at least give them a chance to work out their ideology, work their philosophy, do check, question. But don't have an hidden agenda into the system. Give them independence to implement what they say. After 5 years, definitely you have every right to recall them, question them. Even during 5 years also we question them. But we have to participate in the political process. This is also important for professionals like all of us, that we say, once we have elected the government, now it is the responsibility. We don't have to say anything what the government policy now government will do. We have to continuously be vigilant on what policies, etc., are brought by the government, contribute to them, talk to them, participate in democratic process, or participate in democratic institutions, continuously talk, and don't be aloof from the politics of it, but have faith in the leadership, and once they decide, think that they have positive intent. Also, positivity in life is also an important factor for happiness and moving ahead.
True. No, true. I fully endorse that view, and I think it's important that we follow the principle which has been in English been talked about, that don't ask what the government can do for you. Ask what can you do for the government, as John F. Kennedy said long back. And it's important that every one of us and every institution teaches that, but then we don't abide by most of these things. Gopal, I have about 3 more questions before I open the house for people to ask questions. And I do see some people raising hands. I would request others to kindly raise hands as well who want to ask questions. I read the other day in Rig Veda, which says, if you want to enjoy the fruits of happiness of life, take up systemic planting of trees. Now, it's not a question of only planting trees physically. It has a perception-based system, but you believe in it, and how do you see that particular thing? So how do you connect this with the human capital investment or growth in terms of people's life and growth? And what's your perception of this particular saying of systemic planting of trees for happiness?
Definitely, this is a very important initiative, because tree are important part of our ecosystem and environment, etc. And I think concerns for environment, animals, plants, birds, all these. I have been to various parks also in Kenya. Also, I've seen how enjoyment and happiness it gives. The nature, living with the nature gives the immense happiness in life. You have to create that ecosystem of tree plantations, etc. Put some time into your gardening. See that there are plant in and around your sectors or area where do you live. And ultimately, I have seen one story also is very famous, that one 80 years old person was planting a tree which will take around 30 years to grow, and somebody asked him, why you are planting this tree, it will not give fruits before 30 years. And so he said that my father planted a tree which I enjoy, so now I'm planting a tree which my future generation will enjoy. So plant have created a lot of without agriculture or plantations, etc., fruits, birds, all this ecosystem cannot be sustainable. So at least we should all plant trees wherever it is possible, and take care. I many times see that many people go just one day, plant 50 trees, they plant at some place. It is important that you or take care of that plantation till it grows. You have to nurture as your nurture your family offsprings. You have to nurture them for certain time. Then only plantation will be helpful. You see that you water them. If there is a proper system of hedging around them, then only they will grow. Otherwise, it will become a mechanical step. But plantation is for young people. I've seen that once they plant, they take care. A lot of this awareness about this nature comes to the young people, children.
True, true. Last 2 questions before I open again. Gopal, you have been in economics, you have been in economic think tanks. Recently, the IMF brought out some projections, and you would be aware about them, that they said the GDP growth for 2020, that is January to December 2020 calendar year, would be about 1.9%. and that for the 2021, that is January to December 2021, would be about 7.4% in case of India. And although different agencies have ranged it between 1.7% to about 4%. Now, given your own understanding of India, you've been in the politics, you've seen life as a youth, you know the potential what youth has in this country, the kind of potential industrialists have, the kind of potential the environment is giving. You already know what the government is doing for the people of this country. Do you think these estimates are optimistic or they're conservative in nature?
I think these estimates are estimates, and they depend upon many of the assumptions. In economics, what happens is the thing
True.
is that what you assume and assumptions, statistics and figures and isolation are only comparative to the direction. They cannot be taken at their absolute value as such because these are all estimates. Uh, but I think these will be achieved once you all work towards achieving this. Suppose we see that everybody is hopeful that we will see a V-shaped recovery. We will in the next year have growth of more than 7% GDP growth rate. Our government want to also achieve it. But if we do not work toward that, nothing can be achieved. We will not find. We will have to work on that. Now, many people are talking that there is a big risk. What I call is risk diversion strategy. Many China's growth over the last 30 years. I have traveled extensively globally. I've been to China 8 times by government delegation or call of their their government also, and I had been sent by the Indian government also. So over last 30 years, they have seen massive economic growth. They became the hub for manufacturing for global companies. And now after the COVID, many countries thought that it is a risk diversion strategy. They should have a manufacturing base in other countries also. It is nothing to do only that we are against China or anything. It is a positive statement that everybody wants a alternative base for a manufacturing base, and they consider India has a good opportunity within India on getting this manufacturing base shifted to India, because we say we have 4 Ds: demand, the demography, large population having demand, young population, working population. Then there is the land, labor, all these factors of a democracy, all these decisiveness in the leadership are there. So India has a good opportunity for having attracting these manufacturing base, but we have to create level playing field. The factors of production at present are in India are not at all in comparison competitive globally unless they become competitive with regard to power, land cost, compliances, then logistics. Logistics, we are spending, we are contributing, our logistic industry is contributing 4% of GDP. Globally, it is 9 to 10%. So that means our logistic cost is almost 40% higher globally. So with that level of cost, we cannot compete globally. So I think we have to focus on creating a level playing field for our industry. The government is working. The announcement of Prime Minister on Atmanirbhar Bharat, which 5 pillars of growth, Atmanirbhar Bharat, the first and foremost is economy. Unless we have a strong economy, we cannot be a global superpower. We cannot have a global footprint. Today, world is looking towards India because it is expecting India to emerge economically. And diplomacy, political request or political maneuvering will not create power for anybody. Those which have economic power are economic superpower, our power, their say is there in the global arena. So we have to economically grow, and in for that he has also outlined the factors of production. We all are people connected in industry. We know, which I have just outlined, that factors of production are very important for our manufacturing sector to grow, and competition is also important. We have to integrate with the global and regional supply chain. Protectionism can work to a level only. The industry should not only depend and cry for protectionism. I'm talking with all business associations that fight with the government for creating level playing field, reduce cost of interest, reduce cost of power, give us a cheaper land, cluster of land, create connectivity, logistical infrastructure, airways, waterways, railways, and compliance, reduce compliances cost, all these direct, indirect tax, all other things, etc. Contract enforcement, focus on them, then only our industry will become competitive. So creating competition has to be at both ends. Government also has to work with, before creating level playing field, government cannot open them to competition and put them at the mercy of international players, but it cannot continue ad hoc basis for long. We have to create this level playing field. So industry and government have to work. Government has, I think, a strong direction on economic reforms and factors of production. I can enumerate many things, but this is not at present time. But many initiatives on contract enforcement, logistical cost, focus, our global arbitration center, financial center, India, attracting those global talent into those initiatives are very focused approach under which Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is taking. He is working day and night, and I think if we all associate on various activities, surely we all will also be benefited.
Thank you. My last question, and before I open the house and go to others, Gopal, we are one of the youngest nations in the world with the average age of about 28 years. We have this problem of plenty now, and with the digital age, it's even increasing with large number of options before every one of us for doing anything, whether it is buying food, assignment, job, startups, everything. There is a lot of opportunities which are there before us, but then it becomes difficult for making a choice. The youth and the students in specific, which are the nation for tomorrow, are perplexed with this problem. And the fact that life is inherently unpredictable and insecure, what will be your advice in such kind of scenarios to the youth and the students?
I think the foremost thing that comes to my mind is that we have to uh, keep augmenting your skills. For youth, I think always don't put youth is the time when you have lot of energy, and with energy, strength, etc. time com- when these skills will be used in life, you may not know, but every skill that you develop or gain will surely make your life a great success, because ultimately success in life is very important. Without success or achievement, self satisfaction, nobody can be happy. You don't have that recognition. Human nature is that he seeks recognition from his peer group, from his family, from the society, from the world, country. As you grow, your level of recognition, uh, clinging for that recognition grows. So that will only come from your skill sets, and always try to keep augmenting every skills. Even you like music, go for music. You like painting, go for that. Anything, education, training, skills, that is thing. And expand your knowledge base. Information is what makes you stand apart. The knowledge, more you have your knowledge. Social media is only a limited source of information. It is many times you have to align your time to how much time you put onto your social media. It is more of an entertainment. The level of knowledge that you get from this Facebook, WhatsApp, etc. is, I don't think, is a quality knowledge. Do spend some time on internet, half an hour, 45 minutes on Google, everything. Search for any topic, read those articles on that topic. It will give you immense knowledge. Anything, word, anything you think, you come to the, go for research, internet, read some certain article, at least half an hour, 45 minutes is important. Explore and experiment also. Explore new things. Explore, so failures at young age are not that costly. So explore and experiment with yeah, new things, and also have positivity in life. It's very important. The energy of youth and the importance, highlight of youth is positivity. You see positivity as you grow. You start cribbing. you start criticizing people. Don't get too much into that thing. Everybody has good points, everybody has bad points. Find good points, take them. जैसे कबीर ने कहा ना, साधु ऐसा चाहिए जैसा सूप सुहाए। जो गेहूं में हमने देखा होगा ऐसे छानते हैं तो वो यूं उछालते हैं, जो उसमें गेहूं के उसमें से जो बेकार चीज है वो हट जाती है और गेहूं के दाने बच जाते हैं। तो हर चीज में से पॉजिटिविटी के साथ आपको जो अच्छा लगे उसे ग्रहण कर लो, जो खराब लगे उसको इग्नोर करके आगे बढ़ जाओ। दोज who will move ahead only will progress. Cribbing and criticizing etc will not much help you in that, but analysis is fine, but then clinging to that cribbing and criticizing is not what the youth is should be identified with.
Yes, now I will go to, thank you Gopal for that. I think it's important for the youth to actually think about tomorrow, about the positivity, and that's what we are trying to bring through those two webinars, that the positivity actually seeps in, because it's important that we get delusioned off with the problems which we surface, and there is a lot of stress at times which comes. Now, I would like to open the house to questions, and I would request Professor Ashok Laha. Professor Ashok Laha is the CEO for Intera IT. He's a US-based CEO. He runs his company, which is based in the US and India. He gives large amount of employment, large amount of livelihood to people in this country and even in the US. And in any case, his soul is still Indian. And we have bonded him with us, being as an adjunct professor of the institute now last year and for last 1.5 years, apart from the relationship which I have cherished with him for almost about 15 years. So I would request now and open it to Professor Ashok Laha to ask his question.
Thanks, Aman. It's a thank you, Mr. Agarwal. It's a fascinating presentation. Most of the things which you said, I overall agree with everything what you said. Those are the attributes of a successful person. I'd like to ask a few questions. You made a point. One thing is unique about you from excuse please. Sorry about that. I had a call coming. I'm mute food. Now, one thing unique about you from all the speakers here is that two things. One is that you spent 3 months in jail at a young age. And the other thing what you have done is that you have done trekking all Himalayas. In my life, I've never done those. I did a little bit trekking. I went to Darjeeling, Rishikesh I go quite a lot, but I never spent time in jail. And so my question is that the 3 months in jail, particularly at a young age, what is that experience helped you to what you are today? How that helped you? What the positive thing came about to that one?
That was a very difficult time in my jail. It was not a normal jail. We did not know what will happen in future, because at that time, India had first time had dictatorship, and nobody was sure what will happen to those activists who have stopped against that regime. And my father was also in another jail. My mother was in another jail. We all three were in different jails. My father was in Nagpur. I was in Ambedkar Children's Jail in Delhi. My mother was in Tihar Jail. We were in different, we did not meet for that period. And we were only talking to some of our friends only. They also had no meeting with my father, but just through that. So uncertainty gave me a lot of strength to the आत्मनिर्भर जिसको कहते हैं, मतलब self confidence ki we have to willpower. It helped me into strengthening my willpower and certain ideals. That point of time when I came out successful, that time the regime at that point of time sent several counselors to me. That BBC, etc., also were carrying my story because Indian press was completely banned and censored. But BBC, etc., were there. So they were talking about my young boy of 13 years age has been jailed. So it was giving certain negative publicity to the government. So they were sending this counselors that tum maafi mang lo, you say, so you are a young boy, tum chhod denge ab. So that also gave me commitment ki whatever I think after a deep thought, what we have thought over, that are goals to be pursued. And after that, when the regime was thrown away, we again came with a democracy, Janata Party government came. The amount of confidence that gave to me that any power can be with commitment and of a people, very less number of people were at that point of time were working on this agitation. That gave us a lot of confidence that if you are on the right path and you work with commitment, any amount of power cannot suppress you. And democracy is important for the best, bringing out the best in the people. One thing that I got a strong faith into democratic values and completely denouncing this dictatorship values, and the strength the strength of truth and commitment, that success also came to me during that period. So that was thing. And even I was that time in association with very of criminals also, their life, we were all staying in the jail with the those young criminals only. We had people till the age of 21 in that remand home, that children's jail. So I came into contact, understood their life, how in the young age, what made them into get into this criminal activity. They were political activists were not there. Only I was the only person at that young age in that particular jail. Initially, we were four, but three people went out of jail. I did not sign that the maafi nama jisko kehte hain. So I came into their lifestyle, what they were facing, how their families were being the slum, how they were facing difficulty, what is creating them to come into this. And all these things also had helped me. Jisko kehte hain, compassion also was helped.
Okay.
And trekking also has helped a lot. Himalayas is a wonderful experience. I have traveled, but Himalayas is a unique. Everybody, I suggest jail anybody, everybody cannot
Yeah.
go. But
Right.
Himalayas, everybody can experience the beauty of tent, living near the, putting up a tent, living in near the stream, taking bath in the stream, walking for 6-7 hours, cooking your food. It's a unique experience of endurance and adventurism and love of nature is very important. Everybody should go for treks.
Did that make you much stronger, much more determined what you are today?
I tell you, I have done certain courses. My children have done also. We have very good institute in India, Mountaineering Institute. I appreciate Nehruji for, he also had love for mountaineering, and he has set up such good institutes, Darjeeling Mountaineering Institute, then Uttarakashi, and Manali is there. There are four, I think. Sikkim also, one is in Jammu Kashmir. So I have done skiing, water skiing courses. They offer very good basic courses in mountaineering, and they are very cheap. Young people, I have made many young people to go. They charge so little, and they have such a huge expenditure government is doing on that. And no country, other country has such a fascinating adventure life. And mountaineering and adventure sports, whether it is rafting, rappelling, all these courses I've done, rappelling, rock climbing, all these create a tremendous skills of teamwork, endurance, removal your fear in the mountain when you are alone in the, I have been to 20,000 feet height where everywhere there is snow only. You are alone walking huge mountains in front. You may see avalanche also in around. So that fear also is, you overcome that fear from your life. So adventure activity, India gives lot of opportunities for young people. Or for young people, I would like to at least go for this. They have 7 days courses, 15 days courses. All these institutes have wonderful facilities, and they can create a big difference in the life of young people. In summer, you should all go.
Thank you. Aman, do you have another question I can ask, or I think run out of time because you're 120 right now?
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal, you talked about that wealth economy, which is like a commonly, I believe in it because I'm running a company which called the capitalistic society in US. Now, for that, you have to you have to encourage people to be the industrialist, economist, MSME, small business, do that. But, my personal belief is that here, and one of the speakers in this webinar talked about it, the government thinks, or government official, or government, the maybe income tax police or income tax people or some other government officer think all the business people are crooked. They're thieves, they're crook. That's why they are regulators. Now how to, and I can relate to that one because when I started this company, I want to get some money loan from the bank. They refused to give me money in a loan in the bank because I have to put my house and mortgage and everything else, personal guarantee, I can give personal guarantee and everything else. They will not give it to me yet. So I was able to get the loan from the US bank without personal guarantee, yes, no mortgage, nothing else. I was able to get it. So for a small entrepreneurs in this country, and since you are a part of MSME, they will be the one day, they'll be Google, they'll be Microsoft, they'll be there. But you have to create the environment. You have to give the environment so they can go to the bank and take a loan, and so they can flourish. How to create an environment rather than thinking that everybody is crook.
One thing is that I think what we have been talking with the government is working on that thing is that this ecosystem for this regulatory overhang in the country, that's a bureaucracy that we have inherited from the Britishers, which have complete distrust in the people. That distrust in the bureaucracy has to go. I have been talking in the government on this, that overemphasis of bureaucracy has created many problems. Though I may not be sounding, maybe it may not be very good to talk, but the overhang of bureaucracy is a thing which is at present many times harming the thing. Is one thing that we are trying to check is that we are working that there are various tribunals. I'm talking about the micro level, how we are managing, because as a philosophy, we agree with you that we need to check it, but how to do it is a question. Simply Prime Minister saying that to the bureaucrat that go for a loan, no bank. I have worked in Bank of Baroda, second largest bank in the country. I know how difficult it times it becomes to force the banks to give loans to small and have faith, because they also have problem that they give loan and then CBI, IB or whole their life they will be questioned. So it's a both way round. There is a mistrust on the borrower, there is a mistrust on the lender also. So that is a regulatory issue. I'll tackle another way, but in the bureaucratic thought process, my suggestion to the government is, on which I am working, is that these tribunals are there for getting the opinion, etc., from the stakeholders. And over the period, most of the departments have tribunals. And what my thinking is that the government administrative review takes place at the department level. The whole department is taking decision on everything. So whatever administrative review has to take place at the any policy matter or any issue that the department takes. The tribunals should particularly have the stakeholders, domain knowledge experts and professionals, and are helpful in judicial review of any government decision. Over the years, what has happened is retired bureaucrats have got into the tribunals only. I made a list of tribunals where retired bureaucrats have got into it, and there is no domain expert. So one thing is that we think that we can work on this, that the tribunals can have domain expert, stakeholders participation, and the various other beneficiaries also part of where through which the government can have feedback. For an immediate issue, one thing I would like to mention is over this 5-6 months, because of continuous persuasion at different level and government also having the certain views on this in this direction, the party as a BJP has more than 16 crore membership, and it has a good ground correct. What we have seen is the government has helped asked us to do is get the interact with the stakeholders a lot, get their opinion from the stakeholder, process them properly, have a research team which will, any issue is identified and given to the party level. We do extensive research on that subject, call the people, expert people into that field, have a discussion with the discussion document, come out with a recorded minuted report of the whole discussion, and then give our suggestion, not our suggestion, what suggestions come out from that discussion. And the party government takes it seriously. I have seen it in RCEP, FTA reworking or budget exercise, and now in COVID, the the government has appreciated this issue and has also found it to be very useful. We are not saying that the government is doing what we are saying. We are saying that we are creating a mechanism through the party because of our extensive connect at the ground level of all our people, political people, etc. To get to the stakeholder, get their opinion, process them and convey it to the government. It's for the government to take the call. But it has got now an alternative mechanism through which it is getting the feedback. So many of the feedback, I give you one example of this time is that when the government, RBI, etc., went for a credit offer to everybody, large credit blocks were offered to the industry, etc. But there was a feedback from everywhere that this credit is not going to the MSME and NBFC because the problem is with their balance sheet. They do not have a strong balance sheet to leverage them. And at the same time, nobody is ready to take the credit risk. The government has to take the credit risk because banks, whatever pressure you may put, they will not take this credit risk. So in the announcement recently, extensively we saw the whole credit risk being taken by the government to the NBFC and MSME. So many examples are there where even on the level playing field or factors of production, etc., state government coming out with the cluster of lands, all these government is quite interactive with the political setup. And I think though complete disdain on the political people in the country is not right, they are the most vocal and accountable, much more accountable than the bureaucrats and regulators. Every time a politician has to go to his constituency and answer those questions to the public, he is much more accountable. There are corrupt people, etc., but accountability aspect is more in the more than in a politician than any other class in the country.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you very much, Mr. Agarwal. I understand you live in Noida. You talked about Noida. I also live in Noida. Maybe I can get together sometime with you offline.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashok. Just to add to that, what Gopal said, I thought, I should just add this. The government of India does created the stand-up program, the startup program. I'll try and bring Deepak Bagli, a friend of mine, which actually facilitates some of these activities in terms of financing startups in particular. And so maybe when Deepak comes in, then we can put this question again to him because he's the one who is leading this particular structure in. And I'll speak to him maybe today or tomorrow and see if he can come in the following weeks.
One more thing I want to add, this I forgot, is that government is also working on a startup council, setting up the good brains into the this whole. So the government is particularly Prime Minister has talked about technological solutions into various problem solving, and that technological solutions can come through startup and stand up ecosystem and academic industry connect also. So government is focusing on this.
Yes, and the other thing was that even the recent announcement by FMC Nirmala Sitharaman ji about the easy, immediate liquidity to chip in about the subordinate debt which is to be given out is without collateral, completely without collateral, which is with there. And for 1 year, there is no monetarium relief in terms of any penalty which comes in from there. So I thought I should add these points to what Gopalji had said, because these are important to be taken into account when you're talking of startup or the startup culture which is coming up in India in a big way. I will go to Professor Madan Mohanji. Before that, I have a young lady who has been here.
So Aman ji, ऐसा करते हैं, अब बहुत देर भी हो गई तो हाँ नहीं, we will take all the questions and summarily I'll answer them.
Sure. So we will do that. We will go to this young lady and then Professor Madan Mohan and no one else after that. So only 2 more people who are there. And this young lady has been a journalist, is with art and art and culture lately now. And she was very much interested in asking some questions. So I thought, I'll just put it because I wanted to give equal platform. And then we go to Madan Mohanji, who's been a former vice chancellor and a professor at Kurukshetra University. Yeah. Can I go to Ms. Preeti Bajaj? Please go.
Sir, namaskar. You are so fond of animals, and we are both living in Noida. You are living in Noida, and even I am living in Noida. और आपने इतना गौशाला वगैरह का काम किया है, and COVID में this is come. I mean, from my windows and my friends, we could see that a lot of stray cows were still there. तो डॉग्स तो हम लोग बहुत फीड करते हैं, थोड़ा बहुत ले जा करके, लेकिन काउज का फॉडर इज अ बिग प्रॉब्लम, स्ट्रे काउज का. तो सर मेरी आपसे ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि हम लोग एज सिटीजन्स, अगेन आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट द गवर्नमेंट शुड डू एनीथिंग और द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट शुड डू एनीथिंग, बट आई थिंक एज सिटीजन्स अगर कुछ ऐसा फॉर्मुलेशन रहे कि हम लोग सब मिल करके जो स्ट्रे काउज हैं उनके ऑर्डर का इंतजाम रखें या करें, तो आई थिंक दैट वुड बी अ ग्रेट सर्विस नॉट जस्ट टू द नेशन बट टू आवर सोसाइटी एंड द पीपल इन द नेबरहुड एज वेल. आई मीन आई वुड नीड योर गाइडेंस इन दैट.
मैं एक इसको शॉर्ट में आपको बता दूं, अच्छी बात है, ये बात आनी चाहिए. इन दिस कोविड वी हैव वन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, दोस्त डेमोक्रेटिक आउटरीच फॉर सोशल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, जिसके अंदर हम ये सारा प्रोजेक्ट 2 महीने से कर रहे हैं. दोस्त अन्नपूर्णा चलाया जिसमें 2.5 लाख से ऊपर फूड पैकेट हमने दिए हैं, 2.5-2.25 लाख से ऊपर रोटियां दी हैं, और डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन राशन का भी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के साथ कर रहे हैं. उसी में एक सेकंड है दोस्त एनिमल केयर, तो वह इनिशिएटिव भी हम लोग कर रहे हैं, और उसमें 2 चीजें हैं. मेरी डॉटर इसमें काफी काम कर रही है. लगभग 200 कुत्तों को 2 कम्युनिटी किचन हम चला रहे हैं इस सारे प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, अपने अन्नपूर्णा के लिए. उनमें लगभग 30 किलो खिचड़ी रोज बनाते हैं, और वॉलंटियर जो जुड़े हुए हैं वो कुत्तों के लिए ले जाते हैं और वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं. आपने गायों की बात की, श्रीजी गौसदन जो नोएडा में सेक्टर 94 में है, जिसमें हम लोग जुड़े हुए, मैं फाउंडर भी हूँ उसका, उसमें हमने लार्ज भूसा वगैरह अरेंज कर रखा है. और अगर कोई वहां से हरा चारा या भूसा गाय के लिए लेना चाहता है तो वो वहां आपसे लेके जा सकता है, और अगर हमें बताएगा तो हमारी रोज एक वो जो बैलगाड़ी जिसको कहते हैं उससे वो जाती है उस सेक्टर्स में. अगर आपके वॉलंटियर्स होंगे तो हम उस तक उसको चारे को पहुंचवा देंगे, वो वहां से उतरवा के अपने सेक्टर के गायों को या बैल को या जिसको वह दे देंगे. शाम को एक बार चलती है वो गाड़ी, जहां जहां हमारे पास कॉल आते हैं उस जगह पे उस व्यक्ति के नंबर पे हम वो भूसा और खल चोकर मिला हुआ, वो उसमें न्यूट्रिशन मिनरल्स वगैरह सब मिले होते हैं, वह उसको डाल देता है. वो लड़का उसको वहाँ पे उस जगह पे सड़क पे या जिस भी जगह पे बताएंगे उसको वो डाल देगा. और कोई खुद अपने साथ भी लेके लेना चाहता तो फ्रीली हम उसको वो दे देंगे. या मतलब ये चीज हम हेल्प कर सकते हैं. दोस्त एनिमल केयर, हमारा दोस्त हेल्प डेस्क है. आप ट्विटर हैंडल पे जाएंगे, मेरे ट्विटर गोपाल के अग्रवाल पे आपको सारे इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाएगा, नंबर्स भी मिल जाएंगे जहाँ से ये इनिशिएटिव को आप आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं और हेल्प कर सकते हैं. वी हैव एटलीस्ट 15-20 volunteers who are doing all this work. और
Great.
डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का, सीओ का और डीएम का बहुत क्लोजली कोऑर्डिनेटेड। कल भी हमने सेक्टर 8 में डीएम के साथ मिलके 125 राशन के वो पूरे बंटवाए थे। तो उसमें क्या है, लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी स्टेब्लिश करना एनजीओज के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी और एफिशिएंट सिस्टम बिल्ड करने का है, तो वो सब कर रहे हैं। आप ट्विटर पे जुड़ जाएंगे तो आपको बहुत इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगी।
Thank you.
मदन
I'll
जी।
go, yeah, the last question with Mr. Madan Mohan Goel ji. Professor Madan Mohan, as I said, has been Vice Chancellor of University and been a full professor and head of the department with Kurukshetra University. Comes from the land of spirituality.
Aman ji, today our wavelength is matching with you as well as Gopal ji. You are also putting Krishna on your coat, and Gopal Krishna himself is a ambassador of Kurukshetra and talked of Gita also. I'm today interested, first of all, before asking a question, have you heard of this? Is it visible? Anu Gita?
It is.
अनुगीत का, हाँ नहीं, I have not heard. हाँ,
Anu Gita, I'm interested to tell you a little bit. Gita is a message which was delivered by Lord Krishna in Kurukshetra only. But when Mahabharata was over, Lord Krishna and Pandavas shifted to Delhi in Indraprastha. They were in a celebration mode, enjoying, eating together, dancing together. After 3-4 days, Krishna told Arjuna that I want to go to Dwarka. Arjuna said, you can go to Dwarka, but before going to Dwarka, kindly give me the message of Gita again. Lord Krishna told, it is not an action replay which can be done again and again, but I can give you message. And let me tell you, it is in the 14th second of Mahabharata, and it has 1040 shlokas in 36 chapters. And it is more than Gita. Gita talks of moksha. And it was in a war setting. He was interested to motivate Arjuna to go for war, so that if he wins, he will rule. If he will die, he will have moksha. But he told Arjuna that moksha, you can get it only after death. After death, nobody knows what is going to happen. So this Anu Gita is talking of basically Jivan Mukti, doing good deeds during your lifetime so that you need not to worry after death, as both of you are doing. Aman is also doing a wonderful service here, and Gopal Krishna is also doing wonderful service. As an economist, I am interested to share some concern with you, both on Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. You have also used the word vocal for local. It appears to me a little bit hypocritic, because we should be honest. When we are to be part of global economy, we cannot think of local, vocal for local. We have to think in terms of basically internationalizing the Indianization and Indian economy. From that perspective, another important question I want to share with you is that since you are a chartered accountant, you have talked of balance sheet, but let us talk of balancing of economy. Whatever measures we have taken so far, we have been talking only of supply side economics. What about the demand side? On demand side is basically the middle class. Middle class is the class only which can create demand. And for that, I'm sorry to say, I want to make use of Gopalji to convey this message. I have not been able, I've been writing articles, but I don't know whether it reaches or not, but I have been forcefully advocating that there is no logic and rationale for freezing dearness allowance. You know, as a chartered accountant, dearness allowance is a compensation for inflation. Inflation itself is a tax, and the government has no right to freeze the basically the dearness allowance. And moreover, it is going to adversely affect the demand. Therefore, I want to take your help to convey it to the authorities. Regarding this role of youth, particularly in the present times, our youth is basically over smart also. Many times it is stupid smart also, making use of smartphones, misusing it, doing various kind of white collar crimes. But I have come out with two models in one of my books, which I call smart and simple model. I talk of street smart. Street smart means one should know the environment around, and one should basically fit into the framework. And smart includes various alphabets: simple, moral, action oriented, responsive, and transparent, which is the objective of Aman to go in for conceptualizing the essence of life and happiness, and to go in for basically making use of this platform. So Simple, I have been talking about simple living and high thinking is being talked about by Mahatma Gandhi. But I always talk about simple living and no thinking. No thinking does not mean that we should not think. We should think those things which are not in our control. We should think of those things which are in our control. This is also a wonderful model. It is available. I don't know whether you have read it, but I'm motivated to tell you because you are associated with India Policy Foundation. I have been sending them emails, but sorry to confess that they have never acknowledged me. They have rather ignored my writings. They have not even bothered to invite me for any of the program. And another concept which I have been talking about is economics.
Well, I have to cut you short because we have already stepped over time by about half an hour or so, and I know Gopal is busy. I would request if you can take the last question, another one, and then maybe we can answer both them together, the points which Professor Goel raised. And please write to them, and I will send those points to Gopalji, and maybe connect both of you. That's not a problem. I'm sorry, but I have to cut you short, Professor Goel. Please don't mind. I'd like to take the last question from Professor Dr. Yamini, and then maybe you can respond to both of them together before we end the session, please. Yeah, Dr. Yamini.
Very good afternoon to you, sir. My question to you is, how do you think that the economy is likely to fare given the large amount of a fiscal stimulus that has been announced by the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister today? Do we move towards a more sustainable economy, or do we have other challenges for ourselves?
No, there are certain very important challenges. And on when we talk about, I'll include Professor Madan's questions also, that when we are talking about vocal for local, that is not a product-based Swadeshi model that some people are trying to make it out. Prime Minister did not at any point of time use the word Swadeshi, and that cannot be a product-based. Tell me one pen which is made in India at present. So I do not find, I talked to Amit Bhai about this. So he said, give me one pen that is made in India. So it is not a product-based Swadeshi model that Prime Minister is talking. He talked about global and regional supply chain, but he, in addition to that, he said Indian industry has to integrate with global and supply chain and take the benefit of global businesses only because government is going all out to woo foreign investment in manufacturing, which is all this risk diversion strategy. We are extensively working on risk diversion strategy, how to bring industries to particularly UP. Yogi, I talked to Yogi ji 10, 12 days back. I left a message, he called me. The way he is initiating on this shifting the industrial basis to India. So we are not talking of a closed economy at any point of time. We are talking of a global economic structure and opening our industry to competition also, but trying to create level playing field initially. Second thing is vocal for local has to be a mass movement. It cannot be a government policy of protectionism and complete inward economic policy. At a policy level, at the national level, it will be integrated economic model and globalization, all things will be part of it. But at a local movement, in an individual movement, we should try to buy. That was the Swadeshi concept of Gandhiji also. Try to use to make maximum use of local products, things which are available across you. That is that can be a mass movement, not a government policy. This I want to tell you. And on Yaminji, I think Indian economy is poised for a good opportunities also. But those opportunities, what I think will not come automatically. Government and the people will have to work for them. Entrepreneurship is important. Government can only create an ecosystem, but ultimately people will have to work. If our manufacture and industry, some people are talking about giving out those to industries for paying wages, etc. We are not at all going to do that. Completely no to all industries. We have said that corona crisis is a big crisis and everybody should bear the brunt. Everybody will have to bear its brunt the lower strata of our population is weak and vulnerable. Whatever government resources have, the government have resources, they have to be transferred to this strata where marginal utility of money is more, where circulation maximum fund will go for spending. If the government pushes money into this segment, whatever resources it has, it will have a multiplier effect and it will create demand. They will spend more. And the other sections, though their problem is there, we acknowledge that, but ultimately they have to bear that brunt and take the call and participate in this crisis. But if industry, we will do everything for industry to support and do, we will create level playing field, reduce all the factors of production costs that are coming through us. Ultimately manufacturing sector, which we called in 2016 as a missing link in our economic policy, that focus on manufacturing sector was missing in our government policy, that we are putting back into place. So if the industry comes forward, there are ample opportunities. Government is open. As a party, as a philosophy, I tell you that we believe in Bharatiya Janata Party market economy. We are right to centrist. We are not socialist in that form of sense that we want to distribute wealth, uh, um, rob the rich and distribute to the poor. Create wealth and distribute it efficiently. That's what thing. And market. Otherwise, why we'll announce this privatization, commercialization of mines, coals, minerals, privatization of PSUs? All these are market economy where we are moving them. So there is nothing of sort of closed economy that we are moving towards.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gopalji. I'll take only 30 seconds more before I free you. I'm sorry for extending it so much, but then you could see that there are so many questions and so much of interest which is there in what you speak. There are others which have come on the Facebook also, but then I'm leaving them completely apart. Maybe I will take these questions to you offline and then respond to them separately. Thank you again for being with us. And let me just tell the viewers that we have what we have laid down for you tomorrow and day after. We have Ms. Sonia Verma Singh, who is a senior anchor at Rajya Sabha TV and has been with various channels like Aaj Tak and TV Today and Z News and all, and she's been a model as well. So we're bringing her in from her life perspective. And then we have Ms. Somi Tandon, who has been Secretary Defense Finance and has been an alumni of Indian Institute of Finance as well from our 1991 batch. And she will be addressing on Saturday. And on Monday, we have Professor Sam Sundarlodha, who is the Dean and Head of Marketing from University of Connecticut, US. He's going to join us at midnight around 2:30. He's very old and he will still agree to be, and because we have seen that spirituality and the connect which he has had with India and trying to do things with India. And so he has expected to join us on Monday to be there. Apart from this, we have a finance for non-finance executive training program over the weekend. I thought I'll just end this with this. And as we said, the Rig Veda says, let noble thoughts come to us from every side. And I think we are blessed again from the people who have spoken today, Dr. Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, and some of the very interesting questions which came, which actually opened up the discussion further. Thank you. Namaskar, Vande Mataram, and Jai.
थैंक यू अमन जी. आपने हमारे भारतीय विद्या भवन का, मैंने कहा उसका मोटो लाइन भी है, लेट नोबल थॉट कम टू अस फ्रॉम एवरी साइड. So I am very active on the Twitter. Gopal K Agarwal is my Twitter handle. Gopal K Agarwal, AGARWAL, where I interact and can ask any suggestion questions, or through Professor Aman Agrawal ji also. All things are welcome. Questions, suggestions, all things will be duly taken care of. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. For Professor Aman Agrawal ji, Yamini ji, and the Indian Institute of Finance, all the team and the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.